As we know, a method is a set of established procedures used in teaching a language. It is a list of organizational principles directing an educator in their application of their theoretical beliefs about language and language learning. Although method has always been the guiding structure of language teaching, the concept of method is proving to be problematic for today's educators. As we learn more about neuroscience, about the nature of language learning, and about the importance of nurturing students' emotional needs, we begin to see the limitations of method. We can no longer accept the fact that one method will be effective in reaching each unique learner. In today's ESL classroom, teachers need to be pioneers, working with their students as they forge a new path through the forest of methods and techniques. If this means that the teacher needs to borrow from one method, adapt from another, or try something entirely new and unheard of, that's okay. According to the postmodern school of thought, Kumarava-Divlu encourages teachers to trust their own unexplained and sometimes unexplainable awareness of what constitutes good teaching when it comes to doing what is best for their students' learning. Where then, in the modern language classroom, in which the traditional methods of language instruction are being adapted, blended, and discarded, does the traditional textbook fit? Can it be considered a method in and of itself? Can it still be considered a valid tool for classroom instruction? Through examining several ESL textbooks, the answers to these questions become clear. Richards and Rogers explain that a method establishes which skills are to be taught, which content should be introduced, and the order in which the content should be presented. On the surface, textbooks seem to fulfill those criteria, listing skills and content objectives in a logical progression. However, textbooks are devoid of two key aspects of method. First, a method directly dictates the type of teaching that is to take place in the classroom. The skills and content outlined in textbooks are not being taught if students simply are reading words on a page. Rather, they are presented, practiced. We know this does not constitute effective teaching. We know that students need to be actively engaged, that they need to be challenged to think critically, that they need authentic texts and context, that they need differentiation. A textbook cannot determine mid-lesson that students are confused by a new concept and adjust the lesson accordingly. Textbooks do not teach students. Teachers teach students. Second, in the textbooks I have examined, the link to theoretical support is tenuous at best. In fact, none of them support authentic language development, despite the fact that they have been marketed as ESL resources. The foundational principle at play in these books is no different than what I would expect to find in any language arts anthology, focusing on reading strategies as opposed to language learning. The books invariably follow the same organizational pattern. Read, answer comprehension questions, look up vocabulary words. The more progressive of these texts may add an additional step. Share your responses with your classmates. A method's connection to beliefs is key. Without a solid science-based approach at its foundation, a method cannot exist. Clearly, these textbooks cannot be considered methods if little thought about the nature of language and the nature of language learning has been factored into their design. If textbooks cannot be considered methods, do they instead fit into a discussion of post-methodology? Throughout my textbook exploration, I did see glimmers of Kumarava-Divlu's pedagogy of possibility. An emphasis on social justice and global awareness is a current trend in textbook development. The reading selections included in most modern textbooks are multicultural, with an attempt to include some marginalized voices. They deal with topics from poverty to environmentalism to the importance of making your voice heard. This does not mean that textbooks themselves are a post-method, however. In fact, using a textbook as the exclusive tool for instruction negates Kumarava-Diblu's theory. Textbook creators do not have a situational understanding of a particular group of learners, and therefore, they do not provide students with a pedagogy of particularity. Neither do textbooks encourage teachers to develop their own personal approaches to language teaching. Rather, they strive to do everything for the teacher, providing instructional activities, online resources, and prefabricated assessments, thereby limiting the pedagogy of possibility. A postmodern teacher would not, use the textbook as the exclusive form of instruction in their classroom. It is important to remember that textbooks are not irrelevant, useless, or even evil. When used as a resource to support, not replace, good instruction, textbooks can expose learners to new perspectives, solidify understandings, and facilitate differentiation. A textbook can still be utilized as an effective tool to reinforce students' learning, to offer extended opportunities for practice, or to provide students with accessible texts and activities. It is important to keep that pedagogy of practicality in the forefront of our minds when using these resources in the classroom, however, choosing textbook content judiciously in the way that best supports our learners. Thank you.